Hi, I'm Rachel DeMille from TJEd.org, and I want to thank you for requesting our video series. We've put a lot of thought into the kinds of questions that people coming to us have asked, and we really feel like this series is just what you're looking for. Just to introduce what we're going to be covering, the first one will be about the 3 types of education. And understanding these 3 types of education will give you some clarity to help you understand what you're trying to accomplish, what your ideal is, not somebody else's definition, but what your ideal is, and how to move forward with certain keys that will help you to achieve that ideal. The second video is going to cover what we call the family reset. Some people call it deschooling or detoxing. I like to call it a reset because I feel that it's valuable to return to these principles, this process, anytime the family undergoes some sort of a big change. So look forward to that in video number 2. Video number 3 is going to cover the phases of learning. Now this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you start to see how it all comes together and what your ideal interaction is with your children at different levels to help them to become successful self-educators who own the process of gaining a great education. I'll go into that more in video 3. For now, let's move on to video 1. So let's get started right now talking about the 3 types of learning. First of all, it's important to realize that here at Leadership Education, we believe that every student, every person has inner genius. And the purpose of education is to draw out that inner genius. It may be something that is small and just special and subtle. It may be something that will be life-changing to a lot of people. Doesn't matter. Whatever is that individual's unique purpose in their life, leadership education is designed to help them refine and detect and unleash that genius on the world. Now, let's talk about the 3 types of education and how they react with that type of genius. First of all, when we describe the types of education, it's helpful to consider them from the student's perspective. So when you talk about type 1, let's give it sort of an analogy. We've got the carrot or the stick or the love affair. Let's talk about first the stick. The stick is that style of education, that model of education that teaches that all people must learn the same and that there is a conformity, a uniformity that is ideal that we should all aspire to or all fit into. And students and parents and even teachers are subject to compulsion and regulation and laws and standards that try to channel us into this uniformity, this conformity. And there's fear, there's manipulation, there's threats of you're not going to be able to succeed in this or you won't get that. And it's all about do this or else. And if you don't fit into this system, there's something wrong with you. So that's the stick. The carrot is a more incentive-based program that has special perks and rewards and incentives. There's the analogy of the donkey whose master can't get him to do what he wants. So he's got the carrot in one hand and the stick in the other. And with the stick, he tries to beat him to get him to go. And with the carrot, he tries to dangle it out in front to get him to go. And that's the carrot and the stick. One of them is kind of a force. One of them is kind of an incentive. But the incentive model of education is also known as the professional conveyor belt. The stick version is kind of the masses conveyor belt that's designed so that everybody will get basic literacy, but nobody better excel or they're supposed to put back in line. Nobody better do it a unique way or they're supposed to get back in line. The professional conveyor belt does reward the highest level of performance, but it still has a very rigid standard for what success is. It's not teaching you what to think, like in the masses conveyor belt, but really teaching you when to think. Both of these are extremely important in society, let's be clear, because without them, there would be chaos, there would be illiteracy, there would be, mob rule, and then it's the survival of the fittest. So I'm not saying that these are bad per se, but that if that's the only choices that we have, and if there's no higher aspiration, then we're losing out on great opportunity. So in this professional conveyor belt, the highest tier get rewarded with, special credentials, more compensation in the career path that they might choose, but there's still kind of a rigid guideline on the way that they are supposed to fit in. Now, what about the third model, the love affair? The love affair model, what we call leadership education, holds that each student, each child, each individual, each person, you and me, we all have something unique to contribute in this world. And it matters whether or not we do that, whether or not we are successful in unleashing our genius on the world and do what we were born to do. In the leadership education model, there is a personalization, there's an individualization that is part and parcel of the whole process. And while that might seem like it's harder, it's actually more joyful, less stressful. And so sure, it's more work to be inspiring, but it's the kind of work that gives so much back. You're not just dragging a bag of rocks, you're building something that you believe in. So in this leadership education model, there are principles and methods that help to ensure your success and inform your approach to each stage of development for the child and even for adult learning. In leadership education, it's not just about what we do to our children. We, as parents, as mentors, as teachers, lead out. Because if there's not a leader in this position here showing the way, it's not leadership education. If it's all about me telling them what to do and when to do it and how to do it, that's just the conveyor belt brought home. It's stressful, it's frustrating, it interferes with good relationships, and it's not the ideal if what you want is individuals who don't just know what to think or when to think, but how to think, so that they're able to unleash their creativity, their innovation. They can tackle problems in new and creative ways. That is leadership education. So those are the three models of education. For great education to take place, the student, the individual student, must choose to study long, hard, and effectively. Only then will great education take place. And this is the domain of leadership education. The purpose of leadership education is to raise up children to become adults who are passionate about their purpose and who take their education seriously and who are willing to do the hard work that it takes to get a great education because it matters to them. That is the love affair with learning. That is the passion that drives a great education. Now, the curriculum of greatness, if you'll let me call it that, is based on 7 keys of great teaching. And we'll go into that further if you get into our books. But just very briefly, let me give you the highlights. There are 3 things not to be missed. One is classics. Now, classics are the way that we come face to face with greatness. Now, if you think of classics of some moldy, dusty old things that other people study and it can't possibly relate to me, and I don't know why I would care, those are not what I'm talking about. The classics do endure over the generations because they speak to the heart. There's stuff in there that changes you, that changes the way you think. You come face to face with greatness and it rubs off on you. You get to vicariously make choices that turn worlds. You can see the heroism of rising up after failure. You can see the sorrow of not living up to your calling, your potential. You can see how to work through hardship, how to just every vice and virtue is laid out there for you to see and feel and taste in those classics and share in family reading. It's just astounding when you get a taste of what the classics do to the way you think and the way you feel and the way the family interacts together. All of a sudden the light comes on and you're like, oh, I see how this could actually work. So often I get people contacting me with questions saying, I'm doing this, I've read that, I've done everything that I think I'm supposed to, I'm following these steps, but I'm just still not getting it. What about this? And we'll work through a back and forth of what about this, what about that, what's the situation here? And I try and get to the bottom of it. But if we don't get to a conclusion where there's success, I almost always can put my finger on it, and it's this. Until they actually open the classics, start to read, and experience that transformation, they're not going to really trust the process. And the moment they do that, everything changes. It's not just an intellectual exercise anymore. They understand what it has to do with them personally and how it can really transform their education and the education of those that they're responsible for. And when we talk about classics, it's important to realize that classics don't just have to be, old books that have been around for centuries. Classics are any work that causes you to think in new ways and feel new things and to make epiphanies happen in your mind and in your heart. And this is the key, this is the thing that for us makes it a classic. It's worth more to you every single time that you return to it. A classic yields more with each new visit. That's a classic. Now, number 2 is mentors. Now, mentors, that's a word that's used a lot these days. When we first started teaching this stuff, it was sort of a dusty old word, right? Just like classics. But nowadays, everybody wants a mentor for this or for that, or a coach, and it's sort of got a common vernacular. We're talking about something very specific. And oftentimes when we say mentors, not professors. I don't have anything against professors. Some of my favorite people in the world are professors. But the distinction that we're trying to highlight there is that a mentor isn't just someone who gives you information and then holds you accountable for that information. A mentor is someone who is ahead of you on the path of leadership education, who has a sense of purpose in their education, and who is constantly refreshing their passion for learning, constantly renewing their connection with coming face to face with greatness so that they have something very current and present to give you. And they have special affection for you, they have special investment in you, and they are very much aware of what you could give if you would. They often see things in us that we don't see in ourselves. And they inspire us to do the hard work to gain a great education and to even surpass them and move on the path and in turn mentor others. So that's a mentor. Classics and mentors, that's just the meat and potatoes, that's the bread and butter. The next thing is inspire, not require. Now we talked about this a little bit with the stick and the carrot and the love affair, but understanding that doing the hard work to inspire a student is so key to leadership education. If we focus on just assigning and checking off boxes, I bet you have experiences like I do, where I completed an assignment, passed the test, maybe even did very, very well, and then sort of filed that information as been there, done that, don't need it anymore, right? That's the assign and require method. But when you inspire learning, when the student's effort is born of a question, where they actually want to know, not only do they learn it better, but they learn it differently. They associate it with things that are important to them. They ask questions about it. They innovate on it. They create with it. They consider, how does this apply? So when you go to the extra work of inspiring a student to choose to study hard, long, and effectively, it's at a totally different level. And the final thing that I wanted to share is you. The focus is to lead out. For this to be leadership education, there has to be a leader out in front. Now, it doesn't matter where you are on the path. You could be just getting started in baby steps, but if you're heading in the right direction, that's the energy that drives leadership education. Wherever your humble beginnings, that's way better than the person that's clear far down on the path, but it's boring, stagnant, dormant, and they have no passion to share with us. They're not invested in us. So you as a parent, you as a mentor, if you are just moving ahead on these principles that we are going to share with you on mentors and classics and inspire, not require, if you will be leading out, doing what is yours to do right now today, there is nothing better that you could do to help inspire just the right kind of investment on the part of those that you mentor and teach and are raising up in your own home. So that's what I wanted to share with you right now in this video 1. We talked about the 3 types of education. We talked about mentors and classics and inspire, not require. We talked about you, not them, putting your focus right in the thing that you have the most power of and encouraging and modeling them to do the same, take ownership of their education. And that's what we wanted to cover during this video. In the next video, we're going to talk about some very practical things that you can do right now today and in the coming few weeks to kind of reset your family, reset your home so that there's a new dynamic, a new relationship of harmony between the parents and the children and the siblings and the way that they interact with one another, and that they can each in their own place kind of heal from whatever that you want them to detach from, so that they can start fresh, regain their love of life, regain their love of learning, and really move forward on a path of self-education. Join me on the next video. See you next time.